Now we're going to do the corporation. Alright, I'll start with the first chunk.
Okay, just neutral. We've got Priority Requisition, Melange Mining Corp, Wall of Static, Enigma.
That's it.
I guess that's all you've pulled out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I didn't pull out anything else.
First one, I want to go on a quick little rant about this card.
Melange.
Most people I've seen online in discussions, they go like this. When they first see this card, they go, oh, that's awesome. And then they get all high on their horse and go, oh, it's not that good. Come back around to the other side. It's awesome. This card is amazing. If you are the corporation and you have this guarded and you have multiple turns in a row of going click, 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 7 money, you're going to win the game.
As Ryan said earlier,
He who controls the spice.
Yeah, funny. Oh my god. Melange Mining Corp is just amazing. Put a piece of protection in front of it. Even if you get 1 or 2 turns with it, it's opportunity cost of a card. It costs 1 to put into play.
put Archer in front of it. Will it be worth it?
I know we promised we weren't going to talk expansion, but just earlier today I put Giannis 1.0 in front of this. It was glorious. Was it glorious, Jason?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, Priority Requisition.
Priority Section speaks for itself. It's an agenda, 3 points. It's a big one. You don't want to have 2 of these in your hand at once. When you score Priority Requisition, you may res a piece of ice, ignoring all costs. A key thing to remember, we mentioned, well, we'll bring it out again.
Archer, actually.
Archer, we're going to skip ahead to this just real quick here. Archer is a piece of ice. It costs 4, but as an additional cost to res Archer, the corporation must forfeit an agenda. Keep in mind, this card says ignoring all costs. So you ignore the additional cost. So you can put Archer, you can res Archer with Priority Requisition without sacrificing an agenda. These two like each other a lot. But I mean, this is great. The problem is, obviously, it's 5 to advance and score, so you're going to take multiple turns to do it no matter what. So you're going to be advancing stuff if it's out in the open. Getting these in your hand early, I hate getting these in open hand. Yeah. But it's I mean, it's a solid card, but it's a lot of eggs in one basket.
Some ice.
Yep.
The generic ice.
Neutral ice, Wall of Static, and Enigma.
Alright, so I chose these 2 because they both end the run. They're obviously there because they're kind of the mid-rangey ice walls that will stop. I mean, they're not all walls. But.
Well, there's a barrier in Code Gate. Wall of Static is just solid. I mean, it's solid. It only takes 2 for the Crow to get through it. But it's still an end the run. It only costs 3 to res. This is solid ice. I put this in most decks.
I mean, I actually still run both of these in pretty much all of my corporation decks, just because they're like so many of the other mid-rangey ones are too expensive. They cost like 4 or 5.
Enigma has the benefit. I'd say Enigma has the benefit of being a Code Gate. Like the losing the click can be pertinent.
Yes.
Yep, especially if you're running Haas, for instance, where costing them clicks is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, Hasbiroid, I'd run 3 of these.
And being a Code Gate's good. However, Yogg.0 goes through it for free no matter what. Even if you pump it a strength, it still goes through for free.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
you need to pump it multiple times.
You need to pump it multiple times. And even Gordian Blade, which we mentioned you're going to use in a lot of decks, its strength is already 2. So all it has to do is pay 2 money to break the 2.
And if it's already the 4th action, it'll just pay 1 because
they'll just pay 1.
The run.
The first subroutine does say the runner loses a click if able. So if you're running on your 4th action, you don't even lose a click to it. So Enigma does have, I think, a lot of drawback.
Okay.
Like if I draw it later in the game, it really is a dead draw. I think it's solid. It's just if I'm going to be choosing between cutting these one or the other, unless I have like all barrier in my deck already, I'm going to cut this over this.
Yeah. If I'm playing Hasbiroid, I would actually cut Enigma over Wall of Static.
Yeah. Even playing Hasbiroid, I'd still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because that one strength really kind of that's potentially 1 extra credit.
That 1 strength does matter, and there's only the 1 breaker that really makes this. It's
the Anarch.
No, there's only one breaker that really smacks this one around, but there's multiple breakers that smack this around, and there's a lot of situations where this gets smacked around where this usually is at least a credit or 2 for the person to get through. So it's something.
Yeah.
Whereas this
might not be it.
I've trashed this to make it cheaper to put more ice in multiple times.
Okay.
Never done that Wall Static, I don't think.
Yeah.
Just to make it a little cheaper. Right. If I'm tight on cash, I'll do it.
All right.
But that's when I'm tight on cash. But
okay.
Here we go.
All right. Speaking of HB, Hasbiroid.
The accelerated beta test is their central agenda. Keep in mind their effect also has install and res ice, ignoring all costs. So it too can make Archer go into play for free. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Keep in mind also the drawback of this is anything that's not ice does go into your archives,
including agendas.
Including agendas. So that's something you have to be really cautious about. On the flip side, it is a may. You may look at the top 3 cards of R&D and do that. So you can choose to score this and just score it as is. That's something that I didn't even know the first time I played. I was like, oh, it's a May. Happy day. So I don't have to do it. If I'm worried about, like, if I have a bunch of ice in my hand and I worried my percentage of ice in my deck is low, then I can just forego that. But I mean, it's not the best agenda, but it's not.
No, but it's free big ice.
It's bad. Yeah, that's
Heimdall costs 8.
My big deck, my favorite deck for Corporation is a Hospiroid deck with a high percentage of ice to focus on triggering this card, and it's a high percentage of large ice like Heimdall and Archer and some other big bats. Tollbooth. Yeah. Tollbooth, Wallthorns. The 2 major aspects of Hospiroid is they manipulate actions and time. So you'll have cards like this. This is a Shipment for Mirrormorph. Immediately install 3 cards for... You have to pay the cost, but you don't have to pay the clicks. So basically you're doing multiple clicks in one action. But on the flip side, their ice has... The runner can use clicks to break actions as well. So it's a lot of time manipulation.
Well, breakthrough subroutines.
Breakthrough subroutines, I'm sorry.
Now, the thing with the Hasbiroid identity, each time, well, the first time that you install something each turn, you will get 1 credit back. So even if you use this, the first one that you install, you'll get that 1 credit back the first time. So effectively, this could be free if you're just...
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just have to pay out any other costs that you're, going to put in for extra ice that are more than the first
Stacking up in front, yeah.
Yeah. So...
That being said, their ice does brain damage, which is wonderful, especially if you kind of trap someone into having to take it. That's brain damage.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Okay, it's so wonderful as Corporation. I should point out, myself as a player, I feel more Corporation than Runner. Like, Corporation is comfortable for me. Runner, I feel out of place. You're the opposite way, aren't you?
I like Runner better, but I'm kind of starting to get a feel for both. But the thing is, I still feel like I'm a runner.
So when I say it makes me happy, brain damage makes me happy, it's as a more Corporation feeling player. As a runner, brain damage is a giant sad face.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You?
As I am the lawful Corporation, I am out to stop the evil rebels.
There we go.
So I guess it's 2-on-1 for right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well.
Ichi, I know some people don't like Ichi because it doesn't have end the run, but it's trash 1 program, and trace to potentially give brain damage.
And attack.
This card's really good.
I would say Ichi is really good.
Ichi's really good. The only drawback with it is being a Sentry, it's strength 4. And if Ninja is their breaker, it could be strength 1 instead of 4, and it wouldn't make a difference.
Right.
4 up. Now it does.
It does affect the other Sentry breakers.
Mimic can't bust through it, but it's only 1 away from busting through it.
Yeah.
But the strength is still good for the effect you're getting, and it only costs 5, which, for how powerful this card is, I think 5 is pretty cheap.
I think against HB, if you're a runner, running earlier on might be a safer thing to do. Because worst case scenario, you can prevent things that will trash programs and deal brain damage, and just let it end the run if you don't have enough resources to get through everything.
Yeah, against Haas, definitely better to run early because you can spend clicks. Against, say, NB or Weyland, you probably want to be running...
you want to be running early so you can trash tags.
Yeah, I mean, you still kind of want to, but here's the thing, I would probably run on the first action against HB, whereas against the other 2, I might run second or third action. Mm-hmm. Just as long as I still have 1 potentially to save a tag later if necessary.
True. Yep.
But I guess it's personal preference. If you're playing really risky, go ahead and do it on your 4th one. I mean, I've done it. I mean, I played one against him, and he just killed me with damage.
That worked out real well for you.
So be very careful.
Yeah, I like HB a lot. Actually, it's funny because initially when the game was released, I was on HB, but then I have fun with it, even when I'm not trying to exploit it to the hilt, which I feel like I am doing recently.
I feel like out of all of the Corporation identities, I end up getting more extra credits over the course of the game with HB's
ability
special than any of the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Jinteki.
Jinteki.
The Jinteki identity is pretty much it has this ability where every time anybody scores or steals an agenda, the runner will take 1 net damage. So,
No. Being red like Anarchs, it's terrible.
It is the weakest faction.
I'll say it's the weakest faction, not because of the identity itself, but because of the rest of the cards that you
Just
have.
the balance of cards. Again, there's a lot of things you want to include that don't all do enough together. However, they do have some great powerful cards, like for instance their agenda, their base agenda. I love their base agenda. Being able to use the hosted agenda counter to end the run. I've used it multiple ways. First of all, usually the runner forgets about it. So they start to break through your big, huge base of, your big, huge data fort, breaking through all the ice, spending lots of money, and then you end the run, and they cry. They die a little inside.
Yeah.
You can also, when they get to the end of it, you could have an agenda there, and then purposely reach over, like you're going to move the agenda, and then agenda counter, and go, no, I'll let you through. And suddenly the runner goes, all right, what's going on? Because there's all these Jinteki traps out there.
And then maybe they can just jack out right before the access.
Which has worked. It has bit me in the butt, but it has worked to make them jack out in front of an agenda.
On the flip side, using that to keep them from getting to a Project Junebug with a couple counters on it.
It's
Oh,
so good.
that would totally
because they
mess with
spend
them.
their soul.
Yeah.
Like, it's really great if you can get 1 counter on there, and then your next turn, like if they have tons of money, and you know they can run it again next turn.
Yeah.
If you stop it in front of there with that there, and you're like, oh, put more counters, like it's a
Priority requisition.
like a priority requisition, they spend their life, they use the stim hack, they use everything to get through there, and then they hit the June bug, and you can cackle like a madman. It's wonderful. That's potentially the most moment you can have in this game with the cards as they are so far, I think.
Yeah, no, that's definitely pretty good.
Speaking of great traps, you can also put them in front of
Snare. This
Snare's
is one of my
so good.
favorite ones. I actually run this in pretty much every corporation deck I make, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. I try to have it in there, probably for the same reason that Ryan said he would.
Yeah. The biggest problem that I personally have with Snare is that it cannot be advanced. So you can put it down, you can use it as a trap, but if a card sits there for 11 turns and you have not advanced it at all, either you're a master or the runner is going to under...
The runner knows.
Yeah.
The runner knows. Usually what I like to do is try and keep this in deck or in hand. Once it's in hand,
I like to keep them in hand.
most of the time I try to keep this in hand. So
I've
especially...
had a late game where I had all 3 snares in hand,
Ooh.
and then the runner's trying to throw up a Hail Mary, so they start running the weakest defended thing. If I have multiple snares in hand, I'm like, all right, I can worry less about defending my hand and defend other things. Then the runner may go, oh, he's not defending it, but he may just be fooling with me. So he gets through there and he pulls a snare, and even if that doesn't kill him, he'll go, all right, he's not going to have another one.
There it is!
So
Snares are a great card to add just because the runner has to play around them.
Also, I will agree with you. Even though I don't always put snares in decks just because they are too influenced. They can cost a bit. However, if they go against 1 snare, they're always scared of more snares. So as long as you have 4 or more money sitting in front of you, they second guess every action. Also, as a runner, as much as it stinks because that is a technique of the corporation, if you hit a snare, you got to be ready for any other snare. So if they have 4 money, be ready for a snare, or you're gonna die.
It's dangerous. So, being the safe player, I tried to take a couple games today, not so safe, and then I lost.
Repeatedly.
And it's not just because of the damage, because the tag afterwards, because I would run on my 4th one, which is dumb, because I said that it's not smart to do, but I do it anyway.
Chum. Interesting, you picked Chum as the ice.
Why? Which one did you expect that I would pick?
I figured you picked Norl or Wall of Thorns. Norl
Alright.
Katana.
I've
Anyways.
seen those in the tutorial video. So
Touché.
yeah.
Chum, I like Chum. Chum is, it depends on the player. I know I've been in a few message board arguments over the validity of Chum being a good card. I think it's great. I like using it with things. I know a lot of other people don't like having to match it with another ice to be effective. However, the fact that it pumps ice behind it and does some other effects, it's just so good.
Yeah, but I mean, half the time, if the runner is kind of running on bare minimum, like on the edge, it's like, I'm not sure if I have enough money. Seeing a Chum first, they'll just jack out after it, and even if the ice behind it, is like it's not rezzed yet, it might not even be that powerful. It doesn't have to
Could be a second Chum.
Could be a second Chum. Who knows? But
Yeah.
this could be enough to just deter them. And part of the reason why I wanted to pick this card to just kind of talk about is because of that controversy. It's like, oh, it's not that great. Like, it's
Yeah.
not empirically, it's not actually going to stop a runner.
No.
But with the mind games, as we said, it's a very important aspect. This can definitely stop that.
The +2 strength is also pertinent, especially for patience. Like you put in front of something in the fort, you act like, oh, I can't res that yet, even though you have the money. It only costs 1 to res it. You let them through for something smaller, and then when something's bigger there later, they're building up their money, and they do the math in their head. I can make it through. This screws with money counting for running. I like it. It does. You got to consider with this ice, if you're like thinking of ice counts, like as you're making decks and playing with them, you try to get a feel of how much ice you want your deck. And usually, I'd say minimum in a deck, you want 18 ice minimum. That's my stance. I know some people will say 20, but there's some people that are, 16 to 18 is fine.
I feel like if you run anything lower than 16, you're really risking having the runner run on everything rampant.
You're just not going to have enough
for a
ice.
while.
You're not
You
gonna
just
have enough
won't
ice.
be able to defend stuff at various points.
However, if you're doing an ice count and you're going, bare minimum 16. Well, if you're only counting bare minimum 16, count Chum as half an ice. Because it needs another piece of ice to really do anything.
To be honest, I wouldn't even count Chum as a piece of ice per se in the full count.
Chum
Count as half an ice. It's
Okay.
a similar thing.
Okay.
But it is not...
Yeah, that bluffing aspect.
If you start to do anything like note-taking, how many ice I need, never count as a full ice.
Yeah.
Chum is a combo piece. It's the same issue that Anarchs can have.
Right.
It's fantastic when it works out, but if you don't have the other half of the combo, it can be a dead draw.
Also, if you have a lot of things like Wall of Static that don't have extra effects, Chum will increase its strength, but it really doesn't do a whole lot other than that. If you're doing things like Toll Booth, or things that do damage, or especially Chum in front of something that, like a Neural Katana, or even an Ichi that, I can go through without breaking all the subroutines. Chum works really well with making them break them all. It turns that ice almost into end-to-run ice.
Or Chum and Archer.
Well, Chum and Archer is just...
Come on. That's so mean.
Chum and Archer.
My favorite corporation is the Weyland Corporation. And their ability is you get an additional credit when you play a transaction operation. So there's several of those. That's the hedge fund.
Hedge fund and
Beanstalk
Beanstalk Royalties. So, okay. Archer, we've mentioned this several times. We've even read him. I mean, how much more do you need to know about this guy? He's amazing.
It's the strongest ice in the game. If you can find a way to get it face up, or if you can find a way to res it, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know what else we can say about it. It's been done.
I don't play the game constantly, but I play the game a bunch. I've played it enough. I've only seen people break through it twice. Like once you res it, people leave that fort alone.
Usually.
Yeah. I've seen it broken through twice.
I believe I've broken through it once.
You were one of them.
Desperation, stim hack, sack everything to get through.
No, I was actually playing criminal. I had enough money.
No, he built up. He had enough to do it.
Yeah.
The problem was it wasn't enough to stop me.
No, I didn't. I don't think I
still won
that.
Game.
I think he still won that one.
But that was a close game. That was a close game because it won a lot.
It was good. It went a long time.
That was one of our good games.
All right. So and then we've also mentioned hostile takeover as an agenda where you get money. So it's basically a money card.
Hostile Takeover is one of the cards that, if it's in your opening hand, you can almost count it as more of a money card than an agenda card, because you can just turn one, drop it, advance it, res it, or score it immediately, get money. It's no longer in your hand. It's basically the same as playing a Beanstalk Royalty, except now you have the ability to flip up Archer because you have no complaints.
Pitching this to Archer is just
Archer Archer fodder right away, and you let's say you didn't have a way to flip Archer up, then you can use that. So, especially it's basically you can only run this in Weyland, so because you're not running accelerated beta test. The other one that I think is worth mentioning is Posted Bounty. It's an agenda. Costs 3 advancement counters to flip over.
Score.
And but it's only worth 1 point. However, when you score it, you actually get a bad publicity, but you give the runner a tag.
But you may forfeit it.
Oh, you may forfeit it to give the runner a tag and gain 1 bad publicity.
So why would you do that? Why would you score an agenda and then get rid of it?
Well,
that makes no sense.
If there's this card called Scorched Earth, did you want to talk about this one?
Scorched Earth is my favorite because it's awesome. Because it ends Nom constantly.
I have a question. Just for you guys. I do have a question. Granted, I haven't played Weyland tons myself. I have yet to kill anyone with Scorched Earth, but I also have yet to be killed by Scorched Earth. Now you're saying you love it. Have you commonly killed people with it?
Yes.
Okay.
He's killed me with it a couple times.
All right. I'm just wondering, just because I've
I've
never killed anyone with it, and I've never been killed by it. So
I've killed with it.
The easiest.
Not you.
No.
It's just you're too good. Like you're just too good.
That's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true at all. I'm not that good.
But you're good enough that. But you won't. You're not gonna fall for this. That's basically what I'm saying.
Well, there's no falling for this. This is the great part about this is one of the 2 ways that the corporation can give a tag to the runner on the corporation's turn. So basically, you can give a tag to the runner. They have no chance to respond.
I can think of 3 ways off the top of my head.
This, breaking news, what else?
C-Source.
Oh, C-Source. That's
if
right.
you have more money than them, it'll definitely happen. And now here's the thing: a lot of people tend to score agendas right when they get enough advancement tokens on it, but you don't have to. You can just leave it there. So if you would use all 3 of your actions to put the advancement counters on it, just leave it, and then the following turn you'll be able to score. They have the tag, and then you can do whatever.
Keep in mind though, reading the rules, you can only score agendas on your turn. You can't do it on their turn. So if you let it sit there with those 3 counters, you can't, as they run it, go, oh, I scored, so you don't steal it from me.
Yes.
No, I can't do that.
You can only score it during your turn, so that's very important.
So it would be a busted ability to be able to do that.
Yes, but it doesn't use an action to score it once you have it.
No, it doesn't use an action.
So you can just wait until your turn. Basically, if you know you're going to be secure, you can just wait.
Like if you have Archer in front of it.
Okay, NBN. This is your you
I
tried
like
experimenting
NBN.
with this.
I like NBN. I think NBN they're the tracers. They like to put tags on. Thing is though, I get frustrated with NBN because if you're playing someone like Nam, he acts like tags are lava that are on his skin and need to get off of him.
Can't step on the lava.
The one time I played someone who was more, all right, you got 3 tags on me, whatever, type thing. And they were keeping on their gameplay, they were trying to get to me, basically. I was able to utilize that and crush them into a fine powder. The problem, but that is part problem, but it's also an asset, because if you can make the person focus so much on those tags, they're focusing on the tags and not in your board state, things like that. But I try to make NBN. NBN's kind of my secondary deck. I enjoy playing it. I think it's a lot of fun to play, but it is very challenging to play right.
It's definitely very tough. I tried making a deck, didn't fly at all. I just can't do it.
I much prefer using NBN cards as a splash. For instance, in Weyland, my Weyland deck uses the vast majority of its influence getting additional NBN ice so that it can easily throw tags. Data Raven is good times.
We can jump to that. Data Raven is a powerful card. I mean, I would say it's a very powerful card. The problem is I will admit, have you ever had issues? I've had this issue. Maybe it's if you're running it in a more rich environment. I have problems with sometimes that 4 is a lot for it.
4 is a lot for a ice that does not actually end the run.
Yeah, it doesn't end the run, and a lot of times it's very frustrating to pay 4 to res it when they're running on their first action, and then they just remove the tags, and you're like, well, that was kind of pointless. But that's.
Yeah. I mean, it slows them down, but if they score an agenda after going through this anyway...
I will say, Data Raven's a very potent ice. However, I remember the first time when it was released online, I was like, what? With that card, it has lessened in my opinion. I still think it's a cool ice, though.
Yes. I think it's just based on the card pool cards. You were probably basing it off of potential card pool.
Just potential card pool. I just remember seeing that card and going, what the? No! That is busted. I thought it was busted.
It's not really that busted.
It's not really busted. It's very powerful, but it's not busted.
The other ice we've set aside is...
the other ice I really like.
Yeah, I like this one. Matrix Analyzer.
I run this in tons of stuff. I don't run it in High Spiderwood, but I run it in Jinteki decks, and I run it in Weyland decks.
Yeah.
Just being able to advance counters. Again, this is another card you can play the mind games trick with, because you can basically, like, say they're coming up on a trap. If they're on this, you can advance a card for money during their run. Now, if I have an agenda here, and if this is the last ice, it's not going to end the run. They're going to get through. If I advance this, what do you think? You think it's a trap.
Or an agenda, but it could be one of the two.
It's obviously a trap or an agenda, but why would I advance an agenda? It makes them think twice. He's jumped out with an agenda in front of him. I've also added it, and he's like, oh, it's obviously an agenda, because he's just screwing with my head, and the trap hits him that much worse.
It depends on how much I ignore him. It's true.
Yeah, I usually can't get him unless I'm like using cues, like talking it up type thing. Without that, he usually reads it right.
Yeah, and don't forget, you can also advance the Weyland Ice, Wall of Ice, and Hedron's Barrier.
Oh yeah,
that can be advanced.
Yeah, this in front of Ice Wall or Shadow is really nice.
Yeah, because they'll encounter this, and then you can advance the wall behind it, and it'll be glorious.
Every time.
Or keep in mind, it doesn't have to be something in that stack.
It could
you
be
can
somewhere
other
else.
than anywhere you can advance an Ice Wall somewhere else. Yeah. Advance an Ice Wall, you can advance traps, you can advance anything advanceable. Just remember, it's not just for agendas. It's anything advanceable.
Yeah.
That's why that ice is great, and it's only 1 to res.
Especially good for Weyland because all those other advanceable ice are mostly.
And it does
Weyland.
trace as well. That can be pertinent, especially when you're playing NBN with the extra trace credits. But this agenda is also powerful. The host agenda advance thinks something for without an action.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Hallmark of fast advanced decks.
I think it's good for fast. I think it's good for anything. Even if you're going for more tag strategy, it's still really good. Because this is great because I've used it to put extra counter on Ghost Branch as they're accessing it. So they get that extra tag.
Yeah. So you can just do it at any time. Once they say they're going to access before they can jack out, or when you put it on.
If you look at the chart, they have to choose whether they're jacking out, and then they approach. As they're approaching that,
then you can
put it on. So you can do it once they decide they're going there, or you can do it beforehand to again with their heads, deter them, or potentially increase the trap. It's
definitely versatile, especially if you can score it.
I like any tool that I can use in the mind games.
If you've reduced your opponent's brain to pudding, even if you lose, didn't you really win?
Yeah. I gotta say, it's I'm not the best liar in the world, but some reason this game is kind of my wheelhouse. This and Werewolf.
He likes this game. He got all of us into this game.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about
this
that.
is actually his fault.
Yes, believe it or not, Andrew.
I apologize for nothing.
You guys
for nothing.
You guys love this, so you know.
Okay. All right. Breaking news is their other agenda. Breaking news. I've never really had a whole lot of success with it. I think it's a cool card, but
I agree. Like I've tried using it, and it's just.
I try to make it work, and it never works like I want it to.
It's because they lose the tags at the end of the turn, so you have to be able to do something right then. And if you leave it there for too long, they might score it or.
Pretty much the only way it's used well is if you can use it, give them the extra tags, and use it to as part of a fast advance along with
like a Psychographics.
Psychographics, yep. Psychographics is really the only other card, and you know.
And closed accounts, which actually.
And
closed accounts is so good.
Closed accounts, it's an operation, only costs 1 credit, but when you play it, you can only play it if the runner is tagged. But when you do, the runner loses all credits in their credit pool. So that's why the cyber feeder is really good, because it prevents this from taking them away.
Yeah. But even then, this at the right time in the right game is a game winner.
Yeah.
Just because there's no way they're recovering.
Yep. Slows the tempo down. They've lost pretty much everything they've built up for, and you know.
This card. The problem is NBN wants a quicker game, but this card late game is a game ender, because chances are you have one fort that's pretty defended, and if you drain them of all their money, it's going to be at least 1 or 2 turns before they even have a chance at mounting that fort. So you can just sit there and take your time with agendas.
Yep. It's like, oh, I finished this agenda. Oh, I finished this agenda. So there you go. And then the last card I picked out is Red Herrings.
Red Herrings is good.
It's an upgrade. It only costs 1 to res, and it does cost 1 to trash if they get there. But part of the text: each time a runner accesses an agenda from this server, he or she must pay 5 additional credits as an additional cost in order to steal it. So, and this even applies during the run in which the runner trashes Red Herrings itself.
So worst case scenario, it's still buying you, at the very least.
At least another turn, probably.
Buying you a little bit of time.
Unless
at the very least, it's almost the equivalent of break the run.
It's especially poison to a Anarch medium focus deck. If they have medium and they have a bunch of counters and you can't waste you're like, I can't waste this turn purging counters. I need to do something else, but I can't stop them from getting to my R&D. You put this here, even if they access 8 cards from R&D, they're going to have to pay 5 per agenda to take those agendas.
Yeah.
That can be enough to stop them from winning the game.
It will definitely be enough.
Because Anarch never has money, ever.
Yes. But I mean, you know, unless they're swimming in money, in which case they're ahead. And
in which case they're a criminal.
In which case this doesn't matter. Yes. In which case they're a criminal.
In which case they're criminal or shaper. So yeah.
All right. Just kind of an overview of a bunch of cards that kind of stood out. We obviously couldn't go over everything, and even then I was thinking about it, but we really don't have the time.
Yeah.
To be honest, we almost didn't even have the time to do this. So.
Keep in mind, these are just our opinions. If you are a fantastic Anarch player who has never lost,
please let us know your deck list, because I'm very curious to see it.
That's dangerous. Whoa. They're going to start sending you deck lists, man.
Okay, maybe we'll cut that out. No, I'll put this in the bloopers. Don't send me deck lists! Because chances are I'm probably not going to be able to look at all of them anyway.
Obviously, everyone's metagame, which, describe metagame. Metagame is not just including the game you're directly playing,
it's the game
but
around
the environment you're playing. Like all the players you're playing, certain strategies may be more prevalent. So if you have things that respond in the meta or things that work in the meta, is basically your deck works well against the people you know. They may not work against everyone else. So, but this is just basically from both our experience and some various like reading online and things like that. Like it's kind of generally considered that Anarch's the weakest runner and that Jinteki's the weakest corporation. That's pretty agreed upon.
That said, the balance in this game is not terrible.
The balance in this game is wonderful. I would say the runners, as much as we say things Anarch, it's tough to work. When it does work, it's glorious.
Oh yeah, it's
so
really fun.
Anarch is pretty. I mean, it's not that far behind the other ones. It's just at this point.
Well, yeah, with the cards that are out.
Yeah, it's because it may work on my first round, but other opponents, it's not going to keep working. Whereas my criminal deck that I have, it works consistent. I can.
Yeah.
It does what I want it to do.
Yeah.
Basically, when I don't lose to 4 meat damage, my criminal deck works fine too. So.
Yeah. When Anarch wins,
you cut your decoys.
No, they're all in there.
Okay.
three in there. Yeah. I just didn't draw them. I didn't shuffle well enough.
Yeah. When Anarch wins, it wins by several orders of magnitude, and when Anarch loses, which is unfortunately most of the time.
2 mediums with 4 counters and do a demolition run.
Oh.
Yeah.
The problem is I've done that once, and deck I played about 5 times, so that kind of sums it up. The one time it was awesome, and the other decks I'm like, why can't I get this to freaking work?
Yeah, so Anarch players, just give it another expansion or two.
It's fun. Yeah. It's a fun deck, but again, if you're a newer player, don't play with Anarch first. Play with Shaper and Criminal, get used to the gameplay ideas, and then you can start trying to break the system.
And if you are already experienced card players, you've already been trying to break the system, this video is probably a little too basic for you anyway.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the response that I've been getting, everybody just wants more Netrunner content. So,
all right,
here it is.
Netrunner content.
All right.
You have no one to blame but yourself.
Oh. Anyway, all right. So that's it for today. I'd like to thank our cameraman Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
And I'd like to thank Jason, moral support.
How's it going?
Thanks for Sunblast Angel.
And I would like to thank the other hosts, Ryan and Jeremy. And as always, I'm Nam. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a good night. See ya.
Take it easy.
All right. Other than that, any final words?
Chicken.
Chicken.
I am hungry.
Porn. Because, you know, it goes so well with chicken.
That's what the internet is for.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
You've never heard chicken and porn? Fried chicken and porn?
I've not heard this.
What?
The internet is for porn, and
Right.
at least
I have heard the
chicken.
internet is for porn.
Okay.
Trekkie Monster told me so.
All right, did you want to go over all the corporation cards? No? All right.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Here they are.
I was going to mention that at one point, if we ever do like a really long video doing discussions, which...
This is
I was going to say we should bring like multiple shirts and just change them at random, so when you edit them together, people are like, what is going on?
I have another shirt in my car. Not so much.
2 mediums with 4 counters and do a demolition run.
Oh.
Yeah.
The problem is I've done that once, and deck I played about 5 times, so that kind of sums it up. The one time it was awesome, and the other decks I'm like, why can't I get this to freaking work? But that's those. I mean, we did a kind of the best situation. This it's a good card. It's a really good card. Chum and Archer.
In front of Archer.
I run through a field holding Chum and Archer's hand.
It's basically the same as casting a casting.
This screws with combat math. Sorry, magic minds. By the way, I read Free Fall, that one book in the Android universe.
No, I've never.
They have some novels in the Android universe.
Okay.
Free Fall's kind of fun. It's very kind of a police procedural the first half, and then the second half gets kind of cool. But it's neat because like noise is brought in for questioning at one point, and
Oh, that's cool.
like NBN, like all of these corporations are in the book, and the book was written based on the Android game, and before the actual Android game, and before Netrunner was being worked on.
Oh, okay.
So you can tell they pulled a lot from this book for like the identities and stuff. It's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Android's the beginning.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a detective. It's kind of a detective deduction game.
All right. See, I never knew.
But
Okay.
the Beanstalk is actually an elevator that goes from Earth to an asteroid around Earth, and then it's kind of a jump station to go to the moon.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
okay.
a space elevator.
It's a space elevator. So Beanstalk Royalties are them making money off
Off of that elevator.
the elevator. Yeah. Astute viewers may notice that the color of my whiskey has changed. Oh.
You guys.
That's for nothing. I was going to be like, well, let's start the corporation. Obviously, no time is cast. The windows are now dark, and all of our drinks have changed. Cheers.
Cheers. My glass is almost empty. It's pretty much empty.